All right, so now back to your actual notes packet. The third and final layer, the most deep layer of your skin, is the hypodermis. And the hypodermis is sometimes called superficial fascia, sometimes called the subcutaneous layer. It's composed almost entirely of adipose. Adipose means fat. This can contribute to cellulite formation. Cellulite is the dimpling of skin due to fat pushing up into the dermis. And the function of the hypodermis is a shock absorber for an insulation to keep heat within the body, and it helps to anchor skin to muscles. If you grab your forearm and kind of move your hand back and forth, you can see how your skin has some movement, but it's not like you can take that skin on your forearm and completely wrap it all the way around. And that's because there is a point where you can't move it. That's because the hypodermis is attached to the muscles that are underneath. Flexure lines originate from the hypodermis. So if you look at your hand, you can see you have all of these deep creases. And you have these in your wrist, you have these in your elbow, in your ankle, in your toes, in your knee. These are locations where your skin is actually secured more tightly between the hypodermis and the muscle. At this point of your skin, the skin isn't able to slide. And so you're going to notice these at joints where you have movement because you want to make sure that the skin is tacked down so that it's not sliding all over or changing position when you're moving various parts of your body. Going back to a couple slides ago when we were talking initially about the hypodermis and we said about cellulite. Cellulite is a very common skin condition, and it's formed from the hypodermis. It's when that fat or adipose in the hypodermis somehow is getting pushed up into the dermal reticular layer. And as that fat is getting pushed up into the dermis, externally it looks like lumpy and dimpled skin. It's affected by hormones and genetics. And it doesn't matter how fit or unfit or healthy or unhealthy you are, it can occur in everyone. It is less common in men because men tend to have a crisscross arrangement to the fat in their hypodermis. And so it makes it less likely to push upward because of that diagonal sort of arrangement. More common in women because in female skin, the adipose is actually arranged vertically. And so it's much easier for columns of adipose to be pushed upward and lead to that bumpiness that we can see on the external skin surface. Again, this was some extra information not in your notes packet. Pigments. So we all know about melanin. Melanin is the main pigment of our skin. It's typically a brownish pigment, and different coloration of skin is due to different amounts of melanin being produced. More melanin is going to create darker skin tones. Less melanin is going to create lighter skin tones. Of all the pigments contributing to skin color, melanin is the only one that's actually produced in the skin. Remember, the melanocytes in the epidermis are what's producing the melanin. Keratin actually contributes somewhat to our skin color as well. Keratin is a yellowish orange pigment, and this is found in fruits and vegetables. And so we get this pigment when we eat different fruits and vegetables containing keratin. Carrots, for example, are a big one that have keratin. This accumulates in the stratum corneum and the hypodermis. And so the more of these fruits and vegetables that you ingest, the more of this pigment is going to accumulate in these areas of your skin. Eventually, your body does metabolize it and it goes away, but it can be a minor contributor to skin coloration. Third pigment is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the red pigment that comes from the the iron that's in the hemoglobin molecules, and hemoglobin carries oxygen in our blood. Um, this is more of a contributor for individuals with light skin than with dark skin, and that's just because less melanin means that the lighter your skin is, we're going to see more of that red come through to the surface. If you have more melanin, that melanin's actually going to mask a lot of that redness. And so a true skin color is determined by all three of these pigments interacting together at the same time. So overall skin color is the sum result of all three pigments. High melanin levels give you brown to blackish tones. High keratin levels give you yellow to reddish tones. And high hemoglobin levels give you red to pinkish tones. Now, this is some extra information, but this is kind of interesting. There's a condition called keratoderma, which is when the skin gets an orange coloration due to excessive keratin accumulation. Elevated levels can also be seen in blood and sweat. It's caused by excessive intake of foods that have keratin in them, or it could be from decreased metabolism of carotenoids. So if there's a metabolic issue where the body's not using that as well, and then it starts to accumulate in those skin structures. It's usually harmless. And so you can see some examples of skin that has more orange coloration due to the excessive keratin that has been accumulated in the skin. Now, at this point, we need to take a quick little break and make sure you understand the difference between keratin and keratin. These sound alike, and they often get mixed up because of their similar name, and they both have importance in the skin. Keratin is produced by the skin. It's that tough, colorless protein that we have in our skin, and we'll talk about having it in our hair and our nails as well. And this allows our skin to be strong, flexible, and waterproof. On the other hand, keratin, not produced by the skin. This is that yellowish, orangish pigment that's found in vegetables, and it can cause some contribution to skin coloration. So make sure that you are able to differentiate between those two terms.